Hello everyone. Contemporary enterprise information systems are already built systems, remember, and they are offered by suppliers, vendors, and they satisfy most of the generic requirements of organizations. But they also provide some room, or let's say some flexibility, to be adopted by the organizations to address their specific needs. After all, not all organizations are the same, and a single enterprise information systems cannot satisfy the requirements of all organizations. Now, when discussing about enterprise system adaptation, we have to talk about three concepts: custom development, customization, and configuration. Okay, now let's see what these concepts are. An enterprise system implementation is essentially a sort of an integration of the enterprise system and the organization. Okay, something has to be adopted. And usually it's both the software system and the organization adapting to each other. So we distinguish the adaptation approach with respect to the level of adaptation that is performed on the enterprise system. So let me use an analogy here. You buy a new suit or let's say a beautiful night dress. You can have it fully tailored for specifically for you, which is basically custom development, and you can buy a ready-made one and still take it to the tailor and have few parts changed to make it fit better on you, perfectly fit to your own dimensions, let's say. And this is what we call customizations. Or you can just buy one from a store, have a few things that are already allowed to you, like the lower part of the pants or the sleeves, etc., made for you, and you simply wear it without much further change. Okay, and that's what we call configuration. Okay, let's dig a bit deeper and start our discussion with the extreme case, where the enterprise system is built from scratch, okay, and what we call custom development, which is pretty much the only option available which was the only option available in the 60s, 70s, and partly even 80s, when ready-made enterprise systems were not commonly available at that time. So in this scenario, the software system, in the custom development, the software system is built from scratch, either in-house, meaning by the IT department of an organization, or by a supplier. Of course, even in the custom development, you still reuse some components of existing systems. You don't build everything from scratch. And in such projects, it typically takes much longer than many approaches that we'll see in a minute, and very likely to be the most expensive one. You're just building something perfectly fit for you, specifically for you. And for that is, when it comes to system development or enterprise system, it is the best fit for the organization, but for a certain period of time, as the maintenance of these systems is often an issue and they soon become obsolete, which we'll discuss later on. That's custom development. Now, the case for customization is a little bit different. We call it, sometimes refer to such adaptations as chocolate adaptations. Now, you buy or acquire a software system and have some standard processes, functions customized to fulfill your own specific needs. In this case, you may even have to build a custom coded add-on for integration, or you can extend the software system with additional functionalities. So, in brief, the software system is adapted to company needs to some extent. Okay. How about the configuration, or sometimes we also call parameterization? Which we usually also refers to such as adaptations as vanilla implementations. Even you would hear more vanilla than chocolate, to be honest. And in this case, you can acquire the software system, set up the things, parameterize the things that you are already allowed to do, and sometimes in some cases you are not just allowed, but you are also expected, or in fact you are mandated to do so, like building your organizational structure in the system itself to start using it. So in this case, it's likely that the organization adapts itself to the software system to a large extent. Okay, that is more or less vanilla adaptation. And I mean, as you may notice from the figures, full adaptations or full adaptation of the enterprise information systems to the organization, which is pure chocolate, or custom development, and full adaptation of the organization to the enterprise system, which is pure vanilla, if you like, is rarely the case. There's usually a degree of compromise. Some parts can be configured and some parts of the software system can be customized. There's a kind of level of customization or configuration. And then the question is, what is currently happening in practice? Now, this graph shows or gives a good idea about the level of customization currently happening. In this graph, there is no mentioning of the terms customization or configuration, in fact, but the question is to what extent companies customize their enterprise software system. So to what extent the software system itself is being customized to the organization. As we can see, full customization, I mean, which is basically custom development, is very rare, 1% or something. Yet in quite a significant percentage of the projects, there was significant or even extreme changes in the standard functionality of the software, and only about 1 in every 10 implementations the organization used the system without any customization. So I would say quite a balanced practice that is right now happening in business. Now, of course, what is very important about these approaches is the implications for the organization. So let's discuss about the pros and cons of following chocolate and vanilla implementation. And let's start with the implications in terms of project cost and duration. Now, one is vanilla implementation is likely to offer faster and relatively cheaper implementation. That is what we know. This is mainly because the implementation requires less effort, and I mean, you just buy it and start using it, or parameterize, and then you start using it. Now the case for the chocolate is a little bit different here. If you want something that's customized more to your own needs, that's likely that it will take longer. Besides, it's also riskier a little bit, as there's always a risk that these add-ons will not work or mess up the standard functionality that has been already provided. So as a result, this will incur more cost, particularly in the long run. You will need in-house team to know what you have done specifically in your system when customizing it. Now, next we can discuss about the implications on organizations, processes, and end users. Starting with the chocolate. Now, tailoring the software that's customizing it to your own needs would allow you to sustain the current way of executing your business processes. Of course, this might as well be a disadvantage in if your processes are inefficient, but yet you have the chance to preserve your way of handling your business. That's the core processes that differentiates you from your competitors. As a side product, you will likely to have a better satisfied end users, as the changes in their practices will be, let's say, less. Although it can be argued with the vanilla, you have a chance to get a best of breed practices, what we call, meaning that the standard standard processes that the industry is currently practicing or performing. This can be a good idea, for instance, for your support processes, and that might not be a good idea, a good approach for your core processes. And related to that, if you would actually want to sustain the way you handle some processes, and those that are, for instance, core are very important for you. Vanilla might not be the good fit, which might also lead to some resistance from users, as they will need to change the way the processes, change the way that they have been performing the processes for perhaps ages. Finally, the implications for the maintenance of such systems. That's also very important. Now, in vanilla, it's easier for a vendor to install new upgrades or do some modifications, install some patches to get rid of some bugs, but that's not the case for the chocolate. There might be issues, particularly when the vendor does a complete new upgrade or issue some patches that get rid of some bugs or to improve system stability. Those patches also improve some system stability and so on and so forth, or some security issues. The reason for that is that when you have done some few things that are not standards, it might be that your customization, when you install these upgrades, the customizations simply disappear or have to be redone from scratch. So suddenly you may end up with a system where your custom built parts, add-ons, or integrations with other systems are not working. So that's also kind of a very important thing to consider in customizing or configuring your system, or selecting the adaptation approaches, basically. Okay, now in short, what did we see here? The system implementation involves enterprise software systems and organization to be integrated to each other as a part of a major organizational change, in fact, and this requires some level of adaptation. This can mean on one hand a customization where software system has adopted more, on the other hand configuration where the software or the organization adapts itself more to the software system's standard functionalities, given functionalities. The level of customization has important implications to the cost, the duration of the projects, or regarding organizational processes, support for end users, and system maintenance, particularly in the long run. So we have to carefully consider the advantages and disadvantages of different approaches while deciding on the level of customization. And in fact, I can give you a kind of hint at this stage that the ideal situation is usually given in the literature as it looks like this. You follow a vanilla approach for your core processes, for vanilla approach for your support processes, and usually customization if needed to support your core processes that are differentiating factors or that gives you some competitive advantage over the other market players. Okay, now that is it for now, and see you in another video then.